Imminent threat doesn't appear in White House letter on Soleimani killing.
Here's a summary of the article.
President Donald Trump ordered a drone strike that killed a top Iranian military commander last month in response to past attacks, the White House said in a memo released on Friday, despite previous administration assertions that it was due to an imminent threat. As required by law, the administration sent Congress an unclassified justification for the strike on January 2 that killed Qasem Soleimani at the airport in Baghdad. The strike, and Iran's retaliation, raised fears of wider war and frustrated some lawmakers who said Trump had given them shifting justifications for the attack. The House of Representatives Foreign Affairs Committee released the memo a day after the U.S. Senate, in a rebuke to Trump, passed legislation with rare bipartisan support to limit the president's ability to wage war against Iran. The report said the purposes of the action were to protect U.S. personnel, deter Iran, degrade Iranian-backed militias' ability to conduct attacks and end Iran's strategic escalation of attacks. It also said the U.S. Constitution gives the president the right to direct the use of force to protect the country from an attack or threat or imminent attack. Democratic Representative Eliot Engel, chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, said the memo contradicted Trump's previous assertion that the strike prevented an imminent attack and said lawmakers needed more answers. This spurious, after-the-fact explanation won't do. We need answers and testimony, so I look forward to Secretary Pompeo testifying before the committee at an open February 28 hearing on Iran and Iraq policy, including the Soleimani strike and war powers, Engel said in a statement.
This post received a score of 7,024, with an upvote ratio of 90%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
This belonged to the broader class of Trump said something, there is no evidence to support what he said. In this case the false talk was used to justify murder.
Mayor, under U.S. law it's not murder because he was declared a terrorist, if I'm not mistaken, well over 10 years ago.
Well, it makes me feel safe to know that Trump can have anyone in the world murdered if he calls them a terrorist first. Say, didn't he call the Free Press terrorists?
Think back to this when you hear Republicans let Ted Cruz trying to get Antifa labeled as a terrorist group. That would give them carte blanche to kill any protesters or sufficiently left-wing voices of dissent, since they can all simply be labeled Antifa. But Antifa itself is not an organization. It's the umbrella term for many movements. Are Islamic terrorist-like groups that are not yet part of an officially declared one like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Taliban, etc. considered terrorists by default, or does the group specifically need to be declared an terrorist organization because I'd assume so?
So much the better for them, it means they can call almost anyone a terrorist.
Trump, here is what happened. Here is how it actually happened. Public, so what the fuck happened? Trump, another story. Here is another story of what actually happened. Public, so what the fuck happened? Pretty much every event in the for the past 3 years.
Trump, something stupid with zero evidence. That's not what he meant. Trump, that's exactly what I meant.
I love seeing situations like this the most.
That's because the imminent threat was Trump being impeached.
Didn't turn out to be much of a threat. I honestly was sure he'd be gone.
Probably would have if over half the Senate wasn't compromised.
Internationally, he legally had the same characteristics as an Iranian diplomat. But, in any circumstances, do you think is right that solely the U.S. have the power to privately, without a trial, judge and condemn a foreign citizen, executing him on foreign soil? Try to imagine this policy practice applied to every other state.
It appears he was lured there under false pretenses of a diplomatic mission. This is perfidy, which is a war crime.
Really, Trump should already be in jail for that war crime, put there by the Republicans. That one act did so much damage to the U.S.
There is no mention of imminent threat and a complete abuse of the 2002 AUMF. Somehow they are trying to justify killing an Iranian target in Iraq who was actively fighting against ISIS under the same authorization used to kill ISIS in Iraq. Now that's some real bullshit.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.